Welcome to the Poughton House. Frame rail's out. Let's take a look at what we got to work with here. The frame wasn't too bad. The removal wasn't too bad. After I got done cleaning up all the loose edges, and still got some more to do, found that the rest of the car is actually in pretty good shape. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so here's what we could see there. The frame rail itself is all out. Took it out piece by piece. I've still got a little bit of grinding, a little bit of straightening to do. See if I can get a good shot of this here. There we go. I was able to leave the engine support hanging on the shock tower. All right, now we're cleaning this thing up. I'm gonna use a flashlight because our lighting here ain't so great. But all I'm doing is grinding this down, cleaning it up, giving myself a nice clean work surface. Now in here, using a hammer and dolly, straightening all this up. I got a little bit more grinding to do in here. Got to finish cleaning this up with the welder. Straight down here, cleaning this up. All I'm doing is flatten it out with the hammer and dolly, like I was saying. Grab that. Just using a hammer and dolly. Flatten out this whole area here. I'm not trying to stretch it, make it to anything else. I'm just trying to get the bumps out that were created by the spot weld, the drilling, and taking it apart. We're about halfway through it. I got to drill new holes in here so I can weld this from underneath. Drill new holes here to weld this from underneath, and clean up this frame rail. Now, when we got this thing apart, this frame rail down here, there's some holes in it right down in here. This is a thicker piece of material, and going back, it actually seems like it's nice and clean, but right in this area, we found it to be a little thin. More than likely, the original frame rail that was in there had rusted so much it started getting to the other one. So what we're going to do right in here, what I'm going to do is straighten this all out, get it all cleaned up so we can get our new frame piece in there, and then I'll just graft in a new piece. Okay, so we're going to grind that black coating off and prep it for welding. We're going to use a weld-through primer, spray it, and get it back in there. Now, I already trial fitted this, and it fits actually really, really well. But there's always a little bit of fitting that has to be done. So when we put this thing in, we're going to get it in, get it fitted, and I'm going to use a bunch of sheet metal screws, Tech screws, self-drilling screws, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to use a bunch of those and fit this thing and drill it and screw it together. Once it's all screwed together, then I'm going to worry about getting the alignment exactly the way I want it. Then I'm going to worry about taking off the core support. So that way, this frame rail should be in the exact right place, and we put this core support in, that'll be in the exact right place. All right, so we got the frame rail in place, and started mocking up the, here we go. Started mocking up the rad support, or the core support, however you want to call it. Looks pretty good. See if I can work this phone, this camera. It's actually really kind of fits nice. As you can see in here, she's all screwed together. So the next step was to remove the core support, which I did. Cleaned up everything, and I got really excited and said, hey, I want to custom fit, I want to trial fit this rad support and see where it's at. Well, when I did that, I found this gap. started digging into this a little bit. You can see here there's some grinding that went on. As I ground into it, I realized this is a whole separate piece in here. Somebody had brazed in a whole separate piece. Now, this is supposed to have a jog down. Well, they kind of custom made a jog down to fit the setup that they had. And it really wasn't that good. And then, of course, now I get this new piece on here, and it don't fit. So I keep looking around. Here's more brazing. Here's more brazing. There it is again. This whole piece is brazed in. Same thing. So I have a new one on order. Should be here in a few days. Even though this one looks okay, I'm not going to trust it. The fit on it with the new parts doesn't seem to be that great. The line up here seems to be pretty good. However, my measurements for the rest are actually really, really good. My measurements for the top of the rad support to the cowl, which is one of them that we took. My measurements across here for level are good. Now that I put this rad support in place, now mind you, this is only stuck in place. This is not finished. I have the same level here as I do here, as I do there, as I do up across here. So with that being said, we've got a pretty level tub, and I'm pretty happy with that. I believe we have a square and level tub. Now, yes, I haven't done my crisscross pattern on this yet, but I'm not quite done. I did take some preliminary measurements, and it looks pretty good, which is nice. It's nice to have pieces that fit the way they're supposed to fit. This will all get pulled in, welded down, and cleaned up when we're done. When I'm done putting all these pieces in, then I'm going to take the time to clean up all this firewall and shock towers and everything, get a nice coat of paint on there, make it look good. There you have it. We've got another step in the way. Frame rail's in place, all measurements are good. It's screwed in. The front apron is screwed in, and the core support is being fitted now. So the next step today would be, let's get the other apron out. I think I'm going to wait for that one. I'll wait till that gets here before I remove the driver's side front apron. And if it comes out any way that the passenger side came out, it ain't going to take much. I used an air hammer on some of these braze welds, and well, those areas just fell right apart. Okay, so we received a front fender apron for the driver's side. I wasn't originally planning on changing it. However, brazed in, doesn't fit quite right. We found some old repair work that was done that really wasn't working for us. So got a new fender apron. We're going to take this one out and get the new one installed. So we're going to screw it in using tech screws, sheet metal screws, self-tapping screws, whatever you want to call them. We're going to put it all together with tech screws and start welding this thing together once we're happy with all the fit. So far, the fit on this front end has been a lot better than I expected. I've been told that these parts for these Mustangs are pretty good fitment, and I gotta agree. So far, everything's fitting the way I want it to. Measurements look good. We'll just keep going. Using my small die grinder, getting in here. Brazing I've talked about several times. You can see it pretty clearly here that I'm cleaning it up. I got to get all this out of here because that brazing rod is not going to play well with a MIG welder and steel. So it worked okay for what they did. However, I got to get all that off. So I'll be working at it with the grinder. That little piece down in here, I'm probably going to leave well enough alone because I don't need to weld that corner. But all this in here is going to have to get cleaned up and go. Also going to take a hammer and dolly and straighten out this. What I found when taking this side apart was this side frame rail was nice and straight. We leveled it, squared it to this one. Once we got that part of it done and we put the cross member in and bolted it, oddly enough, all the measurements came back to exactly where they needed to be, and it was kind of a relief. So right now it's finished cleaning this up. The panels, we've already screwed them on and test fitted. So I'll be going over those and cleaning them down to bare steel and prepping them, popping the holes in them just like we did over here. I put these holes in here for welding points, spots. And I'll do that with the other panel, and I'll do that with the rad support, and then I'll prime them. Once that's done, we will screw this thing together one final time, check it for level, check it for square. One of the ways I'm checking it for square, when we took off the front bumper, we left the brackets on the front bumper. So we're going to bolt the front bumper back on here just to make sure everything seems to be at the right spot. When we originally took it apart, there was nothing left on this side to really measure from. So I'm going to have to assume that the brackets are in the right spot. And if that fits and everything measures out, we'll start welding. Prepping through these pieces, and I found something that was quite interesting. What I found was that this tab right here, which is a welding point, is actually bent in. And when I took this apart, I'll show you over here, this piece goes right into here. And on the original, it was spot welded on the inside. So this frame rail is actually made of two pieces. Got an outer and an inner. And I'm assuming when they built the car, and they put the frame support in, put it on here, frame support I should say, radiator support. This outside piece probably was not on, so they were able to spot weld this tab from the inside of the frame. I'm not going to be able to do that because my frame's already welded together. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, and no, we're not building a concourse car, we're building a car for fun. I'm going to take it, I'm going to bend these tabs back out so they come out and they flap over this way, and I'll weld them in here. That way I'll get the support out of the from the welds, and well, again, it's not a show car, it's a fun car. So it'll hold together proper and give the strength it needs. What I'm going to do is when I hang the fender, I had bought these new quick clips. They were like 12 bucks from CJ's Pony Parts. It didn't make sense to try to reuse the old stuff. So when we hang the fender, I'm just going to put a couple of clips in there, throw some screws in to hang it. My ultimate goal is to loosely mock up the front end to make sure it fits. What I'm really looking for is, because I've changed so much on the front end of this car, I'm comfortable with the spacing for the front suspension. I think I got that pretty much in. But I want to make sure that the body, the fenders and the hood and all that line up properly. Last thing I want to do is get this car all together, weld it all up, start putting the sheet metal on, find out I can't align the hood and fenders. So we're going to dry fit them now and just see how they go. So I got a couple of these quick clips in here now, just enough to hold it on. I'm just going to use regular bolts. I'm not going to get nuts. So when we put this thing together finished, we're more than likely going to have all new bolts and stuff in the front end. It'll look right when it's done. Let me grab a fender and we'll start putting this thing together. It is almost exactly where I want it. The door needs to come in just a little bit on the top, and I think we're there. So this is loosely mocked up. We're going to do with the other side, do the same thing, get it in about the same condition, then we're going to put the hood on and see how the hood fits in relationship to the fenders. And if everything lines up the way I want, we blow it all back apart and make it work. Weld it together, that's the word. Weld it together. Hanging this fender, doing the same thing. It's two simple bolts with washers. This is the side that we did the most work on trying to realign it, and quite honestly, it fits better than the driver's side. I'm quite happy with, but I don't think I'm going to know the true answer until I get this hood in place. If the hood fits square and the gaps are right, then I'll know where that we got it right. So that's the next step.
Okay.
For those of you who've been watching, you might notice I took off the cross brace. Now originally my plan was to remove the engine support on the passenger side in order to put the frame rail in properly. Well, I took out the old frame rail, which was in pieces, it was gutted and rotted, and left that in place just to see, can I put the new frame rail in place, and I actually could. So I did that. I never cut out the passenger side engine support, mount, or anything. So when I got to the point of getting that all done, I realized, hey, wait a minute. If I just put a piece of threaded rod right down in here, I can basically get the same thing, same support that I'm looking for to keep these shock towers exactly where I want them. So I put a piece of threaded rod and some nuts, and I cut off the piece I welded on. I guess it's stuff you'll learn when you do stuff. So now I can fit these fenders and still maintain my gapping and spacing, and so far everything's fitting good. We're down. We are spending a ton of time aligning and checking and fitting, but I think the payoff is, now that we're doing this, we're going through and finding out that as we get the adjustments right where we want them, our bolt holes for all the sheet metal is lining right up. So that time spent is actually very valuable, because if it fits right when you're done, it's going to be right. The whole car's, you're not going to get rattles and shakes and things moving around on you. Okay. This is better.
This lines up more.
This is better over here.
Where's that plate at? Mine doesn't look like it has moved.
It came over a little bit onto this side.
It's a little bit tighter up in this corner for me. Actually, never mind. That was just the mounting.
Push down on that corner. Yeah, we gotta mess with those hinges. I think the ultimate answer is, I think we're there, because this is 1/8 inch sheet aluminum. So really I want a 3/16 gap, but I don't have a piece of 3/16 aluminum. So we're gonna do this. This nose is a little over on this side. It should have a bigger gap over here. And it does. So we can move it over a little bit, but I think we're there. I think we're pretty good shape. We got our gap back here the way we want it. That's about 3/16. We gotta take the hinges apart and clean all that up.
That'll make it better.
But I think the safe answer is our sheet metal fitment is good. Now the body line on this side of the car is pretty close to where I want it. How's the body line on this side of the car? That's a lot better than when we took this car apart. Hey. Remember how that was off?
Yeah, that was very off.
It's not anymore.
Smooth.
Now the next part is right in here. That looks like that fits exactly the way it's supposed to. How's this one? That looks like that fits exactly the way it's supposed to. I think we're there. I think everything else is within shimming distance of where we want it to be perfect. So,
Good sign.
I'm pretty happy with that. The rough fit works pretty good.
Yeah, we don't have messed up parts.
Yeah, we got stuff that fits. Now I'm very happy with everything else. I guess it's time to blow it back apart and finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Finish weld it. So, yay us.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain House wins. All right, we'll say that after it's welded together. So let's open the hood. There you have it. Our car is now all screwed together. The tub fits the way it's supposed to. We had the fenders and the hood on, and it looks like we don't need any shimming, or very little to begin with. And the gaps line up. So with that, we took the fenders and the hood back off. We're going to take the tub back apart. We're going to clean all our areas, prime it, put it all back together, and start welding on this. That'll be in the next episode. So thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.